All right, and folks, we're back here again. It's Saturday, the 7th of December, and we're coming up now really close on the start of some of the big industry nominations coming out. Of course, we've got Critics' Choice coming out tomorrow for their nominations. We've got, of course, the SAG and the Globes coming out later the next week. Monday for the Globes, and then Wednesday for SAG. So with that, then we'll go ahead and kind of go over a couple things here today. This first video we'll do some of the more critic stuff, and then I will have a separate video going up here later today about final nominations for the Golden Globes there. Okay, so starting off here, actually, we're going to start with a review here, and that's actually Marriage Story dropped on Netflix here on yesterday, on Friday here. And I have to say, I've already, just in the day it's been out, I've already seen it twice, because I watched it for myself, and then I had a few family members come home, and they were like, oh, we kind of want to watch it, so we watched the whole thing. And this is going right up there, really close to the, it's in my top 10 of the year, for sure. It's up there, definitely, very much so. There's a lot of, just so many great scenes in this movie, and it's Noah Baumbach. I've kind of run hot and cold with him, like the While We're Young movie I didn't think was that great. I loved Mistress America, really liked Meyerowitz Stories, some of his more recent ones there. This one is right up there among his best from what I've seen. I haven't seen everything he's done, but it's definitely up there. And I think this will be his big break-in at the Oscars. I can see him nominated for screenplay, for director. I can see the film obviously nominated for Best Picture. Now, as far as like the 4 acting categories, that's going to be tough for Alan Alda to get in for supporting actor. I get it, because yeah, his screen time is definitely lesser so than the other 3 big players, Laura Dern, Johansson, and Adam Driver there. So it's possible. I think he still gets in. I mean, it's too late for like I've already got my nominations, everything locked in for Critics' Choice and for Globes. I think he gets in both places there. You know, and that was of course having not seen the film. Having seen the film, it's a close call. You know, we'll have to see where they go if they want to go. You know, a couple other places there for supporting actor. But anyways, let's see. I don't really have too many complaints about the film. Really, it's at 2 hours and about 15, 16 minutes or so, it really does go by pretty quick. It always has something going on to where you're interested. It doesn't, it doesn't really lag in any spots. There's a lot of great, the cinematography I actually liked quite a bit too. Certainly a lot of, one shots, long shots and long takes and stuff that were very much appreciated. A lot of the acting is top tier for the performances. Laura Dern has not been this great in a long time. This is probably Adam Driver's best performance, definitely Scarlett Johansson's best work. If not ever, then, you could go back to her vocal performance there was pretty spot on. Alan Alda was great in this. Ray Liotta does his best work in a while. Better than Wild Hogs, I'll give you that. That's probably the last one I've seen him in. I don't know what else to say here. The screenplay is just so fantastic. Very realistic. The movie's a little bit funnier than I thought it would be. It's classified as a drama at the Globes, and I think rightfully so. There's definitely a lot more dramatic moments than there are funny moments. But man, some of those funny moments do stick out. Like every clip with Julie Haggerty and Merritt Wever as Johansson's family is fantastic and really funny, and you really get that dynamic family sense there from the script and everything. And I think the actors really do a beautiful job with that. I think, as far as, other stuff, I put Adam Driver ahead now for Best Actor, having now seen the film. He's got everything. He's got singing scenes, he's got dramatic scenes, he's got some good, light comedy scenes. He goes through the ringer in this movie without going into too many details. I haven't quite seen it yet, but there's just so much stuff that he goes through in this movie. It just feels like it could definitely win. Now, definitely between him and Joaquin Phoenix, it's definitely those two, I would think, for the win right now, just from what I've seen and what everybody else is gauging there, and competition-wise, too. And Driver, so far, I don't think he's won any big critics prizes quite yet, so which was a little surprising. He might win tomorrow. LA Film Critics are tomorrow, too. He might win there. Marriage Story might do really well there, because most of the film, not all of it, but a good deal of it is set in Los Angeles, so I think that'll help it. It's definitely going to have some major nominations there. Yeah, again, in those top tier categories. I can see it playing for editing too. There's some, some nice editing throughout the film. The cinematography was good. yeah, so I don't know if it's not going to be like a sound editing, sound mixing player, I don't think, or anything like that, but yeah, it's definitely, has a shot at those 4 nomination tiers, and everything. And even if Alan Alda doesn't get in tomorrow at Critics' Choice, or on Monday at the Globes, or even Wednesday at the SAGs, we do have to remember, with like Silver Linings Playbook and stuff, we didn't see what's her name nominated anywhere, the supporting actress, whose name Jackie Weaver. We didn't see her nominated anywhere throughout the season at the Major Industry Awards, and she still got in. So, just keep that in mind. I think the acting branch, I think recently, if there's a shot at getting 4 nominations, 1 in each category for a single film, they'll do it. Recently, they have with both American Hustle and with Silver Linings. So, especially with Silver Linings, that did not seem like it was going to happen for Jackie Weaver, and her performance, again, you look at it, she had a lot less screen time. She had some good moments that stuck out, but Alan Alda's kind of in that same range right there with his screen time and with his, a couple good scenes with him too. So it's, I don't know, I can see, and again, the kind of veteran factor, he's only been nominated once before at the Oscars, and again, you can kind of tell in the movie, that Parkinson is kind of kicking in there. So, might be one of his last shots, or his last shot at a film nomination. So, and again, I think it'll be like Weaver that year, where it was like the nomination was the win. I don't think he's going to be a big player for the win or anything for supporting actor, but yeah, I can't really think of too much I didn't like about the movie. It's like what I really liked about it too was the fact that there's not really one of the main characters, Johansson and Driver. None of them, like not one of them, is like a lead, not necessarily like a villain or a hero of the piece. It's like they both do things that are flawed, and both do things that are kind of, a little bitchy, or a little, dicky for the case of dickish, I guess you could say, for Adam Driver's case. Both of them do things that you necessarily don't like, but they both also have a lot of likable factors, and they're both, you could tell, decent people. But there's a great line in the script and in the film where they say, divorce lawyers and stuff see good people at their worst, and it's like you kind of see both that and the opposite there in Driver and Johansson's characters, which is really great. Yeah, we mentioned Laura Dern, fantastic. She could definitely, I think, start sweeping everything this year for supporting actress. And it's, overall, I think the ensemble is great too. With Julie Haggerty, with Merritt Weaver, with even Wallace Shawn, who gets a couple good scenes as one of the theater actors in Driver's company and stuff, and it's just all around a very, very well made film. The young actor is fantastic who plays their kid. There's not much to hate about this movie. It really does punch a lot of stuff in. There's a great scene about 2/3 of the way through where Johansson and Driver finally kind of blow up at each other. You can kind of sense that it's been coming, and when it does not disappoint. And I think that scene alone, could be, the Oscar clip for a lot of them. Obviously, I think the Oscar clip for Driver is his big singing scene later on in the film. But other than that, it's like, man, you could just tell that that was a really well done scene. And again, there's kind of a moment there of comedy toward the very end, but it really almost goes overloaded there, but then circles around. And then also, I thought the very ending, I'll be honest, the second time I saw it, I did shed a tear or two at it. It was, it's very, very well done in the ending too. So, all around, it's a 10 out of 10 film. There's not too much I would complain about here. Maybe the only thing is I would have liked to have seen more stuff with Alan Alda, but even then, the way the story's told, his amount of screen time is sufficient for his character, and that, I don't want to get too spoilery here if you haven't seen it yet, but definitely I would recommend you see it. It is streaming on Netflix now, so it's definitely worth the watch there. All right, so now we have that out of the way. We'll jump into first some reactions here from National Board Review and from the New York Film Critics Circle. We'll get into those quick before we get into the final predictions for Broadcast Film Critics Awards, which there's not too much I've changed since the last time I talked about it last week. There, just 1 or 2 category tweaks. As far as National Board Review, they did go Irishman for Best Picture, and while we're at it, we'll also say New York Film Festival also went for Irishman for Best Film, which isn't, I guess, it's definitely in the hunt there for these categories here. I don't know if LA would necessarily go for it tomorrow. They could, but I guess you never know. And then Tarantino won Best Director at National Board Review. Again, you have to remember, these are kids my age, so they like Scorsese, they like some of these big directors sometimes. But also they like some of the new directors, which we saw with Josh Safdie and the Safdie brothers winning for screenplay, and Adam Sandler winning for Best Actor here. Which, immediately now a lot of people are jumping in saying, uh-oh, now Sandler's on the comeback now. And definitely so. I mean, I don't believe he was nominated at Gotham, which the Gotham Awards were also handed out there. I actually did really well on those, surprisingly. Most time I just kind of pick those and it kind of goes, I'll get like half of them. But yeah, I think I missed one category, which was, man, I pat myself on the back a little bit for that one, I guess. But I don't remember him being nominated at Gotham. But anyways. And now, as far as the rest of the stuff here, it's going to be he's got an uphill climb uphill climb ahead of him here for Best Actor. I think at like the Critics' Choice, at SAG, the Globes is possible, but they switched him over last second to Best Actor Drama. He's not in that comedy race anymore. Which for me, I wasn't too shocked at that, because just from the trailer and stuff, I mean, it was, A24 listed it as a comedy, entered it as a comedy, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to hold up, and it didn't. So that was about the only major last-second change there. So yeah, I don't see him making the list there for actor drama at the Globes on Monday, but if he does, then watch out for him to really clear a path here and start going all the way to the Oscars there. If he can get in over somebody like Banderas or De Niro, or even somebody like, who was the other one I was looking at there for drama? I forget who it was now, but if he can get over, in over one of those, then that's really going to be an astonishing achievement there. And I think, yeah, at that point, it'll feel like the industry's behind him, at least a little bit there. And especially if he gets in at SAG too. If he gets at SAG and at Globes, then that I think really helps his candidacy there. And we'll see who misses between the two. If it's the same candidate, then that's probably the one to go. If not, then it makes it even more complicated. Best Actress went to Renee Zellweger for National Board of Review. For Judy, yeah, not too surprising. Brad Pitt did win for Supporting Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, these are, sorry, not to jump back and forth here. This is all National Board of Review right now. Which, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm still not a big fan of that performance. It's nothing too spectacular, I guess. But then again, it hasn't, other than, like, I would argue Al Pacino in Irishman. You could even argue Joe Pesci in The Irishman. And I like Song Kang-ho a lot in Parasite. I'd say other than those, there's not really too many big standout performances in supporting actor. I would even argue Alan Alda at that point in Marriage Story. He's good in the movie, but it's not like a standout great performance, So, yeah. Anyways, supporting actress was a bit of a surprise. They went with Kathy Bates and Richard Jewell, who I don't know if she gets necessarily any propulsion from this. Eastwood is another, well-known director they like to sometimes acknowledge here. I think he won director here for American Sniper a few years ago, so they do like Clint Eastwood here a bit. We mentioned, yeah, the Safdie brothers did win original screenplay for Uncut Gems. Adapted screenplay went to Steve Zalian for The Irishman. A couple other ones here. They do have a couple breakthrough performance and directing categories here. So breakthrough performance is Paul Walter Hauser, Richard Jewell. Directing debut was Melina Matsoukas. I don't know. I haven't quite seen Queen and Slim yet, but I do very much want to see it. She won for that. Animated film actually went to How to Train Your Dragon 3, which was a bit of a surprise. Foreign language film was Parasite, no surprise. Cinematography went to Roger Deakins for 1917. There was an ensemble category that went to Knives Out. Documentary was Maiden. I haven't heard too much stuff on documentary yet. We'll have to see here. Let's see. Otherwise, they do have some like top lists here for films and stuff, so we'll see here. And this is other than the winners here. So some of the other top films were 1917, Dolomite Is My Name, 4v Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, Knives Out, which was, that one I'm kind of surprised we're seeing a little bit more love in like the film category, overall film category, than I thought we would have. Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Richard Jewell, Uncut Gems, Waves. So, yeah, nothing too big there. As far as like what's missing there, I was going to look, at this ahead of time to see if there's anything missing from that list that I was a little shocked at. Little Women was missing from the list. Bombshell was off that list. Parasite, I guess if they already classified it as a foreign language. I don't know how some of these Critics' Choice groups and stuff go. I don't know if they have the same rules like the Globes, where it's like if it's already in that foreign language, it doesn't qualify for best film overall. So I don't know. I'm glad to see Dolomite in there though. Dolomite's a very good movie. I've seen most of these. Haven't seen Uncut Gems yet. Haven't seen Waves. Haven't seen Richard Jewell yet. Haven't seen 1917 yet. The rest of them I have seen. And I mean, there's nothing terrible on this list. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably my least favorite, but even then, I think I know a lot of other people love it, and I think it'll still do well, across all these award ceremonies and stuff. But A couple other foreign language films, they put Atlantics, Invisible Life, Pain and Glory, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and Transit in there. Let's see, documentaries was American Factory, Apollo 11, Black Godfather, Rolling Thunder Revenue, it's Bob Dylan Story, and Russell. And then independent films was The Farewell, which was another one that was, I guess, I don't know, but Waves, I don't know how they classify these or what, but anyways, Farewell was in there, Give Me Liberty, Hidden Life, Judy, Last Black Man in San Francisco, Midsummer, Nightingale, Peanut Butter Falcon, Souvenir, and Wild Rose. I've seen a few of those. Any recognition for Peanut Butter Falcon will be great here. It did jack squat at the Indie Spirit Awards, which everybody said it would do really well at, and so feels like the cat's out of the bag for that one, unfortunately, which is still one of my favorites of the year. But okay, then going over to New York Film Critics Circle, we already mentioned Irishman won Best Film here. Also picked up an award for Supporting Actor for Joe Pesci. Which, I look back, I saw The Irishman again on Netflix not long after it came on there, and I have to say, I liked Pesci a little bit better the second time around, actually, in this film. I still love Al Pacino. He's definitely, I think, the best performance in the film, really amongst anybody, for the lead trio there. But I did like Pesci a little bit better the second time, and I kind of noted a couple things, and, you always catch one or two more things the second time around. And still, Uncut Gems won surprisingly to me. I would not have guessed this in a million years. I don't know how the fuck anybody would call this, but it won for Best Director for Safdie Brothers, which is really like, wow, okay. But then I thought about it a little bit, then I'm like, it's set in New York, especially in the Diamond District. Irishman is set in Philadelphia. It's all East Coast stuff, so it kind of makes sense. I mean, that's clearly something I didn't factor in too well. So yeah, that's kind of maybe that should have been a little closer under our noses than originally thought, but I don't know. I did, in my predictions, get Antonio Banderas right for Best Actor for Pain and Glory. That definitely helps his candidacy here. Because I was starting to sense here in the last few weeks that maybe that film and his performance especially were kind of waning a little bit. But now, with that Best Actor win at New York, that definitely helps. If he picks up a runner-up or a win tomorrow at L.A., then that will really help his candidacy, I definitely think. Then another shocker was Best Actress. They went with Lupita Nyong'o for Us, which, personally, I love that performance. I'm glad that was recognized. Is it like the best of the year? I still think Renee Zellweger's clear up there for Judy, but I'm glad to see it recognized. And again, if she breaks in at the Globes on Monday there, and I do have her predicted to get in tomorrow at Broadcast Film Critics Choice there. If she gets in Monday for Best Actress Drama, that definitely shakes up the race. I think she can get from there. I might change her over to get nominated at SAG over. I don't know. I would guess I would go over Awkwafina maybe. I don't know. That's a tough choice. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I won't change that. But that's. I'm glad to see her recognized. And if she gets in at Critics' Choice, that'll be expected because they do have 6 slots there. I don't know where to go from there. We'll see. I don't know if BAFTA would go for it or not. And another thing too we have to remember is that at about this time last year, we were really on the fence on whether or not. Like I was in the category of I don't think it's going to happen for. Daniel Kaluuya for another Jordan Peele film, Get Out, and he ended up getting nominated across the board. So we might be underappreciating that for Lupita. She might repeat that for the next Jordan Peele film here. But I don't know. But then again, Get Out had a lot more steam running for it for obviously like director, picture, and a few other categories there. Us is less so in that field. Definitely less people are talking about it. We already mentioned Joe Pesci for The Irishman. Laura Dern did win here for Marriage Story. They did attach Little Women to that too, which evidently she has a few good scenes in Little Women from what I've heard too. But I think definitely Marriage Story will be the one she'll definitely get picked for. Screenplay went to Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay. Animated film went to I Lost My Body, which is from... Is that a Japan? Or is... No, that's not Japan. That's France. Okay. Yeah, French film. Which some people now are starting to think that's going to get in for animated film. I'm a little weary on that. I definitely don't think the Globes would pick it. I can see it. Maybe it'll get into Critics' Choice. It's possible. I don't know. LA, they like to go with more the Japanese or the more anime films, so I think Weathering with You has a better shot there. I don't know. If it wins tomorrow at LA, then that definitely, I think, boosts the chances there. Yeah, we'll see. Cinematography went to Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is, yeah, probably maybe one of the few cinematography awards that won't go to Roger Deakins this year. I fully expect Deakins to win tomorrow at LA. They love him out there. Honeyland won for documentary, Parasite won for foreign language, and Atlantic's won for best first film. So, yeah, again, I'm a little surprised Parasite is not doing as well in these categories for director and for picture, definitely. Screenplay, I can see Parasite maybe winning a couple screenplay prizes this year, too, across some of the regional awards. But director and picture, I thought, felt like they were going to be top tier, you know, like first, second, third for those. But nope, they like The Irishman so far. They like Uncut Gems a lot so far. They do like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a little bit so far. So yeah, we'll see where LA goes. They might be the first one to really get a big push for Marriage Story. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little, you know, not like out there winners so far or anything, but I don't know, just a couple things that I was a little, you know, a couple little surprises here and there, and a couple of expected wins as well here. Okay, now we'll get into the final predictions here for Broadcast Film Critics Awards. Again, nominations are coming out tomorrow. Again, like last year, I looked all over the fucking earth to try to find when or if they're even doing a live nominations things, which supposedly they did last year, but again, like they do like this year, they are the absolute worst at putting that out where you can find it, where you can watch it live, which is stupid. I don't know why. I don't know what is wrong with this society as far as that, because their show last year sucked ass. Their ceremony as far as announcing stuff didn't, you know, it happened last year, but nobody knew about it. Nobody knew where to watch it. I guess it's going to be the same this year, which really sucks. But, you know, they are still, you know, one of the major, you know, industry awards that we do watch for. They're in the lower tier. They're not, I don't think they're as important as, say, like Globe, SAG, even BAFTA, DGA, PGA, stuff like that, obviously are more closer up there. But still, you know, and I do like that the critics do get to kind of hand out, you know, an overall award, you know, across the category there, and it's not just the regional awards being the only place they can really speak out there. So, I mean, it's obviously good for that, but just as far as the actual presentation of it goes, as far as getting people aware of it with announcements and with the show, they are just really failing in those categories recently. So that's really on the people that are running the show there. I don't know if that's necessarily like the networks or if that's more the whatever board or whoever is running this from the critics' perspective. I don't know. Somebody needs to step up and really correct that. Unless they do want to wane away from that and they just want, you know, eventually their show to not be broadcast, or if they want to try to change it to a different network, or if they just don't want to do live announcements for their nominations, they just rather do a press release, that's fine. You know, just as long as you kind of set the rules in advance so that everybody knows, I think that works better overall than this kind of will they, won't they, and then having a crappy show afterwards for the actual winners and stuff. No, they need to really work on that. Anyway, so with that soapbox moment over, let's go ahead and get into the final predictions here. Starting with just the top categories here. Screenplay, I have Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Hustlers, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Irishman, and Two Popes. And that really feels just about it to me for these 6 picks here. It really, I don't see Joker, you know, it was so critically divided and stuff. I don't necessarily see it being a big pick here. I don't see it getting in over like Jojo Rabbit or The Irishman or a few of those. Richard Jewell, you know, we did see it again get some picks there at National Board Review, but and it's very well rated. I think it's just under, it's like the 87-88% on Rotten Tomatoes right now for critics, so they do like it a lot. But I don't necessarily seeing it be a big player for screenplay. I'd say Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is probably the first of these to go, I think. Two Popes is Anthony McCartan. They do like him a lot, and it's a very well critically rated film. Hustlers is also one that's kind of teetering there, but I think it gets in. Toy Story 4, Dark Waters might be a couple other kind of dark horses here for adapted screenplay, but I don't know. I feel like this is definitely the weaker category for screenplay here. For original screenplay, I took Bombshell out, and I've got now Knives Out, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, The Farewell, and my sixth spot. I haven't seen too many other people going with this, but by the way, I fully admit I'm kind of sound a little hypocritical here because I know a lot of people. I kind of kind of some people, if one critics group picks this and everybody else jumps on it, and I'm like, just because one critics group went with it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Well, two critics groups did like Uncut Gems quite a bit, so I am putting it in for that sixth slot for original screenplay. And I think Bombshell, I think they like it, but I don't think they're going to love it. I still have it in for Best Picture here, or Best Film, but in that kind of 9th, 10th slot, it's definitely down there. Dolomite Is My Name could surprise us here. Booksmart could easily get in. Ford v. Ferrari could get in. Pain and Glory, very self-reflexive film, and I think critics do really like that one too. So, yeah, those are definitely, a lot more could happen here in this original screenplay category than adapted. I feel like there's definitely more chances for upsets here. Knives Out, I think, especially, and we've seen, again, a few critics groups have put it on like their list for best film, like in the top 10 or whatever. That definitely helps it. So, and again, that's in the 90s, higher 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. Marriage Story's right up there. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood feels like a sure bet. Parasite's way up there on tomato meter. Same with Farewell, and Uncut Gems is, I think, around the 95% range too from what we've seen so far. So, yeah. For supporting actress, I have Annette Bening, The Report, Laura Dern, Marriage Story, Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, Florence Pugh for Little Women, Margot Robbie in for Bombshell, and Zhao Shuzhen in for The Farewell. And it really, this six feels pretty solid to me. You do have Scarlett Johansson also has a bid for Jojo Rabbit, Maggie Smith for Downton Abbey, Davine Joy Randolph I do like a lot in Dolomite Is My Name. She might be a surprise nominee who starts really getting picked up here in the next few weeks. But, otherwise those six feel just about right to me. For Best Actor in a Supporting Role, I have Alan Alda, Marriage Story, Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse, Tom Hanks for Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and both Al Pacino and Joe Pesci in for The Irishman, which, I think going forward, I have them both into the Globes now. I think I had them in last time we talked about predictions, but still. I think this could easily be like Three Billboards a couple years ago, where they just like that film enough. So obviously, I think Pesci can obviously steal that spot from like an Alan Alda or from Willem Dafoe at the Oscars too. And if they want to go with somebody else like a Jamie Foxx for Just Mercy, Song Kang-ho for Parasite, Anthony Hopkins in The Two Popes, or even Sterling K. Brown in Waves, those are definitely a couple other possibilities as well. For actress in a leading role, we've got Awkwafina for The Farewell, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Lupita Nyong'o for Us, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. Again, these six are pretty solid. You do have Alfred Woodard in there for Clemency, also as a possibility. Cynthia Erivo could sneak in for Harriet, and Constance Wu for Hustlers is also a possibility here. For actor in a leading role, again, I felt like I've had these six from the beginning. I don't think anything's going to change here. It's Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Eddie Murphy for Dolomite Is My Name, Robert De Niro for The Irishman, and Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. I feel like, definitely there's some outside shots here for like a Christian Bale for Ford v. Ferrari, Adam Sandler we mentioned for Uncut Gems. And again, if he gets in tomorrow over Eddie Murphy or over DiCaprio or over Banderas or even over De Niro, that I think definitely helps his candidacy going forward as well. Jonathan Pryce also for The Two Popes could get in. Taron Egerton for Rocket Man is another one I will list there. So yeah, there's definitely some spoilers there. Okay. Then we get to, this is the most competitive category, the little ensemble category they have here. I have Dolomite Is My Name, Jojo Rabbit, Marriage Story, The Farewell, and The Irishman getting in here. But the lineup for potential spoilers are Little Women, Parasite, Ford v. Ferrari, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Waves, Knives Out, Bombshell, and Hustlers. I think all have a shot here. It's really, again, this is a very competitive category here. Marriage Story really feels like the only sure bet here. It's the only lock. I mean, I have The Irishman missing out at SAG for the ensemble category. The Farewell is definitely one of those ensembles that's, very Asian or Asian American mixed actors there. So, as we saw last year, they do like to do that for Crazy Rich Asians, which was also a big hit. Farewell, even as an independent film, was very well received and did make a lot of decent money for an independent film. Jojo Rabbit, that just feels like an ensemble film to me. Dolomite Is My Name, again, very good mix of African-American and white actors there, mostly African-American, but again, they do like to go for those. So that's, Waves is also another one that I mentioned there as a possibility for that. And yeah, Hustlers does have a lot of female leads in there, as does Little Women. So again, the female ensembles, sometimes they will go for. So Bombshell also has 3 dynamic leading ladies, in the lead roles there, and a few other supporting roles for women there. So again, there's just a lot that can happen in this ensemble category. This might be one where I go 1 for 5, but you never know. So yeah, this is a tough category to call here. For director, I have Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Sam Mendes for 1917, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. Again, you've got a lot of potential upsets here with Pedro Almodovar for Pain and Glory, Terrence Malick, Hidden Life, Greta Gerwig for Little Women, James Mangold could make a splash there for Ford v. Ferrari. I don't necessarily see the Safdie brothers getting in here, even though they've gotten some recognition here in the past couple award shows there for critics' prizes and stuff. And Uncut Gems was nominated for Best Film at the Gothams there too. So that's definitely something to mention there as well. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, these 6, and then probably I don't know who among these other 5, or was it 5 or 4? 4 films I listed here. I don't know who gets the best shot from that. Maybe Gerwig. I don't know. That's a tough call, but I think those six feel right to me. Then for the 10 films I've selected for best film here, I have 1917, Bombshell, Ford v. Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, The Farewell, and The Irishman in there as the 10. Joker might get some love here. Pain and Glory as well. Dolomite Is My Name. Uncut Gems. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, possibly. Knives Out, we mentioned. Yes, I would say that has a shot here. The Two Popes. Hustlers, I think, also might sneak in there. But, yeah, I'm less so on Best Picture. I'm more for, like, that ensemble category and stuff. Yeah, so there's a couple films that could definitely sneak in here for Best Film here tomorrow. And, yeah, it's definitely going to be stuff to talk about here. Now, we'll see here. My schedule tomorrow is pretty full, so I might not, it depends. If I get late word and I'm able to talk about it right as it's happening for the live reactions, I'll be back with that. If not, if I have time tomorrow, then I will definitely talk about them, the nominations, who's in, who's out, when they're available, if I have time. If not, it'll be later on in the day, so... or I might just save it for tomorrow. So, I don't know. LA Film Critics is also the same day here tomorrow. So, yeah, I think as far as updates for those, the only really big thing that changes, I did put Song Kang-ho in there as a shot in one of the runner-ups categories there for Parasite and supporting actor. But that's about the only major change there. Everything else is the same as when we last talked about it. Yeah, so we'll see what Critics' Choice does tomorrow, and we'll also see what LA does tomorrow. And I'll be back here later today with a quick video on final nomination predictions for the 77th, 76th, whatever, we'll figure it out later, for the Golden Globes. If the video would stop.